Chris Spike, one of the assistant managers at the Grand Rapids store. Today I'm going to show you some of the foam rolling basics and some things that I like to do to prepare and recover myself from exercise. We get a lot of questions about foam rolling here at the store because we've got a lot of crazy looking products that not everyone knows how to use. But foam rolling's super important. It's very helpful with exercise, both to prepare yourself for exercise and recover afterwards. The way I like to think about it is that when you use your muscles, whether that's running or any repetitive motion, they get damaged, and to increase blood flow you can massage them and use these products to get fresh blood and oxygen and nutrients to the muscles so that they stay healthy. Another benefit is that it's going to break down some of the scar tissue that forms on those muscles, so when they're stiff or a little bit sore, it's going to help keep them flexible and mobile so that when you do go out for exercise, you're feeling good. So we're going to go through a few foam rolling basics, some things that I like to do myself. I'll talk about some products we have here in the store and how those might benefit you or how you might use them differently. And I'll answer your questions and see what you're curious about. All right, where I like to start is with my calf muscles, or the lower extremities. So whenever you're doing a larger muscle group, you're going to want to split it into two sections. So from my knee to my ankle here, I'm going to kind of start in the middle. The first muscle you really want to target is the soleus, which is kind of tucked in there with your calves. Really important for runners. It's kind of the key that unlocks a lot of ailments like plantar fasciitis or shin splints, things like that. So what you're going to want to do is put your calf right on there, right about in the middle, maybe a little bit below the center. I like to put my leg over for a little bit added pressure, and then you'll hoist yourself up. We'll do 3 to 4 slow rolls back and forth. You want to make sure you're breathing. We do want to pump the blood out to the extremities. After those 3 to 4 rolls, you're going to then do 3 to 4 side-to-side motions. It could be a little bit tender there. If there's ever a point where it's super tender, I always just pause and breathe and kind of let it work. And then lastly, we're going to pin and stretch. So you're just going to hoist yourself up and then do 3 or 4 rolls. Okay? And then we'll do the same with the upper calf and the other leg as well. So you do your 3 to 4 slow rolls, and then your 3 to 4 side to side, and again that roll. And then I would also do it on the other side. Another thing I like to do with the foam roller is the quads. So again, a large muscle group, so we'll split it in two. I'm going to go from the middle up towards the hip. So I usually you get in a plank pose, and then you'll slowly roll up towards the hip. This is a spot that can be particularly tender for runners. 3 to 4 rolls, and then again you're going to do your 3 to 4 spans where you go side to side, and then pin and stretch. So you'll bend at the knee, and you'll definitely feel this one. And then the other area I really like to target with the foam roller is the back, especially your lower back, like the QL type area. So what we'll do, this one actually feels really good. From time to time you can get a little bit of pain associated or discomfort with foam rolling. I like to describe it as it should hurt as much as a massage does, a comfortable level of discomfort. But this one actually feels really good. So you'll just kind of sit and lean back on the roller, and then you'll bring your butt towards your ankles. And again, kind of 3 to 4 slow rolls. You'll want to do about 1 inch per second is what I like to say. So after the rolls, then you can put your arms across your chest like I'm doing here. And as you roll, you're just going to kind of shimmy from side to side. And then also do that with the upper portion of your back as well. Okay. Those are a few of my favorites that I like to use for the foam roller in particular. One of the products I find myself using probably every day is the orb ball. I like the foam massage ball because it rolls in all directions. So it really works well for areas like the hips and the glutes, which is super important for runners. This little series I'm about to show you is something I do before every run. So I'll start by putting the ball just kind of right where your back pocket would be on a pair of jeans. And you'll sit on the ball. And this one we're going to kind of target the glutes, or like the rear hips. Great for piriformis tightness, glute medius type stuff. So we'll do our 3 to 4 slow rolls back and forth. And then 3 or 4 side to side. And then lastly, for our pin and stretch, you'll come up on your glutes and you're gonna bring your knee down towards the ground and then sort of squeeze on the way up, and you'll feel that in there. So 3 to 4 times. Then I'll slide right down onto my hip. This one we're gonna target kind of our TFL. Right, you'll see your hip bone here. You wanna go just on the back side of that. And you'll kind of be in a side plank pose. And 3 or 4 rolls forward and backwards. And then again, our 3 to 4 side to side. And you almost kind of want to thrust a little bit once you come through on this one. And then for our pin and stretch, you can just bend at the knee. Okay. And then to get the full side of the hips, one thing that's really important with foam rolling is our muscle groups work together. So maybe your quads are tight, or you're feeling some tightness there, but it could be something with the hamstrings or another hip muscle that it is actually causing that. So the feelings aren't the facts there. So that's why I always make sure I hit all 3 sides there, just to make sure I'm getting the whole hip girdle. So then on the last one, it's going to be pretty similar to what we did with the quads, is the plank pose. This is just going to be a little bit more targeted with the massage ball. And then our 3 to 4 forward and backward rolls. This can be a very tender area, so only apply as much pressure as is comfortable for you. And then your side to side. And then you can do a knee bend again for that pin and stretch. But yeah, like I said, this is something I do before every run. It really loosens up my hips, which is great for runners. That's our drive training, so it's an area that we definitely need to pay attention to. All right, another tool in the toolbox here is the mini orb. This one also has some larger knobs on it, but this is a great tool. I carry it with me pretty much everywhere I go. Long drives, in your backpack, just easy and quick, but works really well for one pose I'm going to show you here. So we kind of did the sides of the hips, but another muscle group that's really important for runners is the whole hip girdle, or all the hip flexor muscles. But one that we kind of forget about is the psoas, which runs from the spine down to the hip. It's kind of tricky to get. It is buried amongst some other organs and tissues. So this one can be a little bit more difficult, but very beneficial for runners. It helps with your stride when you're pulling your knees up. So if you're having some of that front hip tightness, this is definitely an area to target. So how you find it, so you'll start with your belly button, and you go about 2 inches to the outside, and then maybe down an inch. You can also kind of feel for your hip bone, and you want to start right in there. So the first thing we'll do is just lay on it and apply a little bit of pressure and breathe. 8 to 10 breaths, deep breaths. After that, you'll want to come up, and you kind of want to grab the carpet and put your shoulders back and pull yourself forward. And you'll feel the dig in there. And then you want to just kind of go back into a more relaxed pose while you're still laying on the ball. And then you'll do that 2 or 3 times. And then we can come up. If you're not really feeling it, you definitely will when we do this next one. So you're grasping, kind of pulling the carpet, and then you're going to lift up your leg. And you can bend at the knee as well. Again, this is one I'll find myself doing before most runs. Really helps loosen up the hips, and you'll feel an inch taller as well. Another great option we have is a handheld massage tool. Instead of using your body weight to apply pressure like we did with the foam rollers, you can apply your own pressure. You also don't have to lay on the ground if you're in an area where you wouldn't want to do that, at maybe a trailhead or something like that. So these are super handy. A couple areas I like to target with this is the calves. Another nice thing is you can do a lot of side-to-side flossing techniques. So with this, I'll usually kind of target right in this area or even go down to that soleus. And just 3 to 4 rolls just to kind of wake up, get some blood flow going. And then I'll apply a lot of pressure and then go side to side or in a circular motion. Really works great for loosening up those calves. A lot of times when we get tired, if you're ramping up the miles, you start to use your calves more than your big muscles when your form starts to fall, so these can really be tight. Also, with the shins, or maybe you're getting some shin splints, if you go right along your bone here, just applying some pressure, just 3 or 4 little rolls. And then what you'll want to do is pinpoint and apply a little bit of pressure pulling towards, and then lift up your toes. And that feels real nice. Definitely relieves a lot of the tension and pressure that is built up there for me. You can use this on any part of your body, just like the foam roller or massage ball, just a little bit different feeling, but equally as effective for sure. All right, one last massage technique I wanted to show you is with the small oar ball again. We get a lot of questions about hamstrings. It's a really hard place to get with a foam roller and massage ball or handheld device. So one trick, you can sit in a chair or any hard surface, a bench, and what you'll do is you'll put the small oar pretty far back, almost like right under your glutes, and just roll forward. You'll definitely feel this a little bit more than you did with those other products. You can also apply additional pressure if need be. So you'll do your 3 to 4 slow rolls, and then side to side by just kind of swinging your knee, externally rotated. And then lastly, for a pin and stretch, you'll just straighten your knee, and that is a little painful, a little tight there, so I can tell I need to do that. But you'll definitely feel that one. Super hard spot to get, but a real easy way kind of to get that at home. So, hamstrings. We do have lots of different foam rollers. They all look a little bit different out there. Some of them have the kind of grid design or the knobs on there. Some are flatter. It's really a personal preference. Some of them will vary in density and firmness, and that's really more where you're going to have a preference. Firmer foam roller is going to get it in there a little bit deeper. You're definitely going to feel it a little bit more. So if you are a beginner, have never used a foam roller before, we often recommend the just EVA foam. It's definitely going to be your softest option, whereas these have the hollow design, so the plastic helps keep the foam, or keeps its shape, but also makes it a little bit harder. But really personal preference. I like something with a little bit of texture. It just helps dig in there a little bit, but it's up to you. The most popular area that people ask about in regards to foam rolling is the IT band, especially runners. And it's kind of a tricky answer, but you certainly can roll along the IT band. There are some quad muscles that could be causing some of that tightness, but more often than not, it's actually a problem of the hips. So that hip routine I showed you where we did the glutes, the side, and then the front is really gonna be what you're gonna wanna target. Although it might hurt down here, this is really what's kind of causing that pain, as the IT band does insert at similar areas to those muscle groups. So definitely hit the glutes and the hip flexors to target that IT band. Foam rolling should really be done every day or most days. It's kind of one of those things that runners and walkers should just have in their routine, a lot like stretching. There's not really a too much, or as far as how many days a week, but there is as far as intensity goes. So I always like to say that consistency is better than intensity. So 5 minutes every day is definitely going to be better than twice a week for 20 minutes. Just for consistency and to target those areas frequently. I would focus on whatever is kind of nagging at you at the time. I guess an easy answer would be the calves. The first one we did with the soleus is a great one for any runner or walker. But second choice would probably be the hips. That's the one I really don't go on a run without doing. So it kind of depends on you, but the calves and the hips are probably where I would start. There's a lot of research on when to foam roll, whether it's better before or after. I think both is a great answer. A lot of times foam rolling gets looped into the recovery category, which is absolutely true. It does help recover your muscles, but personally I think it does even more benefits beforehand, preparing your body for exercise. So definitely both. I like to do it before to make sure I'm ready to go, but then I'll often find myself doing it after as well to make sure I'm ready for my next run. There's definitely a lot of hard to get places when you're foam rolling. The hips are a great example, which is why I like to have or recommend having kind of an arsenal of tools. I always laugh, right next to our couch is a handful of massage devices because one always works better for a different area than the other. So using multiple tools is definitely the way to go. But the smaller products like the small orb here do really good at getting into those hard to get spots. Well, that's a pretty good wrap on the foam rolling basics, some of the things I personally like to do. Please comment if you have more questions, we'll get those answered. But thanks for tuning in and keep moving out there.